Yo! Welcome to another episode of Under the Surface, a talk show where we talk all things Bazaar. There were many iterations of Start of Round so far, but when Tempo introduced the starting kits, it felt like the final change. Turns out we were wrong. It looks like the starting kits are evolving. Perhaps this is going to be their final form, or maybe there is another stage after that. For now, we are diving under the surface. Dear viewers, we made a video regarding starting kits, and we thought to ourselves, oh yeah, that would be a good topic to cover. This will feel relevant for a couple of weeks at least. Definitely. Right? Right? Well, then Reynard has come out and said, no, you don't, boy. And yeah, we have new starting kits. Instead of like a whole list of them, unique for each hero, we now have 3 the same for each of the heroes. And that would be, on the left, the first one is +3 income and 12 gold. This is an economic package. The middle one is 2 gold and enchanted small bronze item.
Yeah, and and then there's 3 enchanted items, and you choose between one of the small.
Yeah. And then you can get a gold skill as a third option. Which one of those is your favorite, Blake?
I mean, I feel like it's no secret. It's the middle one. You gotta gamble with the enchanted items and just hope you get some item and you're like, yeah, this is broken. I'm gonna carry this to 10 wins.
That's true. But to be fair, I also 99% of the time I choose the middle option because that's the most fun, because enchanted items are fun. That's basically it. But if you get a cool enchanted item and you want to make a build around it, you can sort of get this tunnel vision syndrome where you try to build, your board around this one item, and the game doesn't want you to get items that work with that item. So at some point, the reasonable thing is to cut your losses, sell the enchanted item, and just assemble actually working board. Many times it's really hard to let go, at least in my experience.
I've had the exact same experience, and it's like every time I pick the enchanted item, it's always like too late. By the time I decide, I should have just given up and tried something different. But
yeah,
it feels like that's what you're starting with. Like that feels like your direction in the run.
I mean, not always, because sometimes you get a terrible item and it's essentially like 4 gold. At that time, you feel sort of bad because you know that you low rolled and your chances of getting to 10 wins just dropped. But if you roll actually a powerful item, then you are insanely happy because, well, maybe there's something to it. Maybe you can assemble something, spicy. But if game doesn't cooperate, then it's as bad as low rolling at the very beginning. Maybe even more so.
I know Reina had mentioned on the patch update for these new starting kits that they felt like having like the 12 different options was too confusing and it was too hard for them to balance, which they weren't really balanced well. So makes sense. And the idea with this one is like the 12 gold and 3 income, you're a safe player. You know exactly what you're getting. And then the enchanted item is like you just want to like risk it all. You know what I mean? And then the gold skills, I guess, kind of in the middle, right? Like you can get,
to be fair,
something.
I think the skill option is the most risky.
Maybe.
Because if you get the enchanted item and you don't feel like it's useful, then you can sell it and you can get back 4 gold. But if you start with a skill and ultimately you either do not use it or, if your build doesn't really work with the skill you got, like you try to force it, but it doesn't work out, so you have to pivot out of it. So in that situation, you do not have a gold skill and you cannot sell it. So it's just dead weight at that point. So if you get a starting gold skill, you sort of have to double down. So if you get a burn skill, then, oh well, I have to force a burn build. If you get a poison skill, oh well, I have to force a poison build. If you get a weapon skill, oh well, I have to force a weapons build. It's not always possible.
Is it a choice between 3 or is it just a random one?
It's a choice between 3.
That tells you how often I've chosen it.
To be fair, I think I chose it once. I got a weapon skill. I didn't play any weapons, and I thought that I don't know. Like I prefer getting enchanted item because it's at least cool. Like it looks cool, and you at least get this at least second of excitement when they are rolled out at the beginning. So
Yeah, and that's why I pick it normally. But I've only been playing Vanessa really so far. When this has been implemented, so I always thought like if I was playing Pygmalion, maybe the 12 gold 3 income is better. You know what I mean? Because he's so income oriented, has a lot of income related skills. So maybe I would choose that more often. But then I was being honest with myself, and I was like, nah, I'd still go for the enchanted item because it's too fun.
yeah,
And he has a lot of good small items that would be crazy enchanted.
yeah, that's true. And I played a couple of games on Pygmalion just to try it out, even though I do not have the card pack for him. Getting a cool, useful item like at the beginning, with an enchant can be really important. Like if you get a yo-yo with an enchantment, or maybe marbles or matchbox, things like that, things that you can actually make a build around that item. Like this stat can actually allow you to scale and do something during your run. But if you roll, I don't know, like a hatchet or maybe something else that's not particularly useful with a even more not particularly useful enchantment, then I think going for gold in that situation is much more profitable. And I think I arrived at similar conclusion. Since Pig cares so much about money, I think starting with additional income and gold to sort of set up your board in the first 2 days or so is beneficial. And yeah, that extra 3 income per day, if you, let's say, even if you do not win your first 7 days, you are getting additional 21 gold, right?
I feel like the starting kits have the issue. We did a resurrection episode. I feel like they sort of have that issue now. Not as bad, of course, but it feels like one option is like, I have to assume most people are choosing the middle option, the enchanted item, over the others by a wide margin. I don't know if you just keep it the way it is, because maybe there are players who always choose gold skill because they like that, or I think I would like to see retweaked versions of probably the other two.
I understand that they are not sort of balanced in terms of power, but balanced in terms of riskiness. And I feel like the way that they are right now, even though I like the previous kits because they added some sort of wackiness to the start of your run, but this is sort of that point, the middle option adds that wackiness to the start of your run, while other options are more boring, and I think people are actually looking for exciting options.
I was just going to ask, do you think they should rework those other two, or are you just saying like they're okay with the way they are because the middle one gives you that option?
I don't like the skill option because it sort of forces you into one approach towards that particular run, because losing a gold skill is a really big deal. Like gold skills are priced at 20 gold. So this is essentially like 20 gold investment at the very beginning. So it's the most valuable option, right? But it narrows you down at the very beginning, while the left and middle options are more free flow. You do not have to commit to either your enchanted item, or you can just buy something that you like for the gold that you get from the left option. In terms of power level and the design, I think they are fine, in the sense that they do not need changing per se. The main part that I don't like about the right option is the implication. But I understand that someone would want to gamble it all and just try to get insane skill at the very start to win everything. And people have done that. Like there are pictures on Reddit where people get augmented weaponry on gold at the very start, and they just run a pile of weapons, and it just works.
I'm gonna have to start doing gold skill because I need that. I need that.
Yeah,
like a run like that.
But that's the point. Like that's a gamble, you know. Let's say 1 or 2 people hit augmented weaponry, where thousands hit like your leftmost weapon has, or not weapon, but like your leftmost item has like plus 24 crit chance, which is not terrible. But to utilize that, you most likely should be running a weapon build, probably a 1 weapon build.
I guess my thought with a skill and why I haven't chose it a lot is because it feels like something that could be very impactful for like the first couple of days and then it just falls off. You know what I mean? Whereas the other 2 options, like it feels like your enchanted item, it's like, oh, if you get something halfway decent, that's going to be a mainstay in your build, right? Or if you get plus 3 income, like you said, like you're still getting that income. I don't know. The gold skill, it feels like even if you just get a regular plus so much damage to your item, to your leftmost weapon or whatever, it'll be good for the first couple of days, and then it's kind of like,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
you know,
not
I don't know if
irrelevant. I'm sorry, I interrupted you again.
I was basically done.
Okay. It's not irrelevant. The main part is this investment. Like, let's say you actually, you got like gold right-handed and your rightmost weapon has plus 40 damage. Yeah, first few days you are a beast. If you grab a cool weapon that has a low cooldown, I think you are destroying first 3 days no problem. Well, unless you find an opponent with insane enchanted item, Essentially your power level is very high. You got this right-handed, so you are locked into a weapon build from very beginning to the very end. And if you find, let's say you are a Vanessa player and you found, let's say, weather glass, and you have some setup to actually switch to weather glass build and try to ban people, then your gold skill is suddenly worthless, even if the switch makes sense in the context of the run. Are you sticking with your skill and this something sunk cost fallacy, or you actually make decisions based on logic, which is actually hard in the Bazaar because there are so many intricacies to making a correct build.
You feel so indebted to whatever you start with too. You just feel so bad. It feels so bad moving away from it. That's a player. Like, the better you get at the game, the more you play, the more you'll be like, I just have to unfortunately ignore this really good skill because it's not relevant to my items.
Is lowering your power level worth it? Should you actually stick with your guns and double down? Yes, this is what I rolled and this is useful to my items. Should I move out of it? And making those maths in your head and sort of imagining if switching to this, as I proposed, weather glass, to see if your weapon deals more damage per second, or does this poison plus burn does more damage, and maybe you picked up some skills along the way and each of them gives something else, like one is for poison, the other is for burn, then you have this right-handed. Sometimes when the game deals you everything and nothing, it's really hard to make those decisions that are correct, because when you are railroaded into, let's say, a burn build, it's actually easy to pilot.
Yeah, and I had some to add to that, but I lost it.
Would you like them to change the starting kits? Do you think there are things to improve?
I definitely would prefer a scenario where I don't always feel like I want to choose one of them. So if you're feeling that way too, and like you're choosing that middle one, and probably a lot of other people are choosing the middle one mainly, I definitely would like to see a scenario where I feel sort of torn at the beginning of which one to choose, because I really enjoyed the choosing an enchanted item at the start, but it sort of got samey again. It's not as samey as previous, just choose one of the silver items or whatever, but it's still really fun to get an enchanted item. But I feel like, I don't know, I would like maybe the other should offer more, or maybe offer a little like something closer to the enchanted item, like 12 gold and 3 income. Maybe you give a little more risk to that and you give a little less risk to a gold skill, but I guess it's just going to depend on what their numbers are internally, like how often people are choosing certain things.
Is always choosing the middle option bad thing, actually? Because this was my point from the very beginning, right? Like, what should you scale? Should you scale power level or should you scale excitement? Because I feel the most excited when I get an enchanted item, because that's fun. You first of all get to choose one of 3. So if there are like things like utility, weapon, and shielding options, then you sort of decide, first of all, what's the synergy between the enchantments on those items, and then what sort of route would you like to go, what items synergize with the items that you are presented. So there's immediately some form of elevation in terms of your mood, at least for me. You are engaged from the very start, whereas economic option is the boring option, and that's not.
Yeah.
We all know that, and maybe in some cases it's sensible to choose the gold option, but that would be probably for the legend rank tryhards, and that's all right, I think. So how can you make the exciting option the most exciting that it can be, and also like how can you make other options at least as half as exciting?
If you've watched, have you watched Crypt and some of the other streamers a lot since the open beta?
I watched Crip a bit, yeah.
What was he choosing normally?
He's almost always choosing the middle option because that's like the meme option. But
Yeah.
he could choose anything and he would probably still win, I don't know. He's a wizard.
Yeah, I've noticed when doing the enchanted items too, it's so fun because I've seen so many combinations I haven't seen in the wild. You know what I mean? Like you can get shiny or whatever of just like this random item you've never even thought. Like maybe there's sometimes items you wouldn't even normally enchant, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna try this out this time. So I don't know. I see myself never stopping picking that most of the time.
Yeah,
So.
You're always looking for that one high roll which will let you do silly things. I got once a deadly piranha, and I thought to myself, maybe this is the time, maybe this is the day where I finally will get to do a piranha build. And no, I did not. I won like 3 or 4 times. I'm not really sure. So yeah, sometimes you can get railroaded because of your determination to actually make something work, even if it's not as good as you might have hoped.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the new version of kits, or did you prefer the old kits?
I've been having a real hard time deciding that. I honestly think I prefer the old version slightly more. Probably now, and having this version, I would probably want something maybe in between, maybe less kit options, but
yeah, I think that's the main part that I would finish with, is something in between. Because new options have been normalized, and that's cool. Like something being normalized not necessarily always means that it's better, but we have an exciting option of getting an enchanted item. The fact that we had more options earlier, and there was more variety in the very beginning of the run, because right now, well, half the people that you meet on the first 2 days run one enchanted item, and so it's essentially battle of high rolls.
And you sort of autopilot the first move now. It's like you don't even consider the other options. I loved reading it and seeing like what my 3 options were, and then thinking
2 options, but
about or 2 options. Yeah, so maybe they could do 3 options and have like 6 from a pool of 6 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would prefer that, but it's not tragic. I would say that new version of starting kits is all right. It's not brilliant, but it's all right.
Agreed.
Since we are agreed, I think that would be a good point to end the video. So thank you for watching. Tell us what you think about the new changes to the starting kits. Maybe you actually preferred the old way, so maybe you are the economy fanatic, or maybe you are the skill connoisseur. Who knows? Tell us. Besides commenting, you may leave a like or subscribe to the channel. It would be cool. And yeah, that's basically it. I guess we'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
So see ya. I guess
Bye.
Yeah, it works.